Right, welcome back. We got our weekly stock market update. I missed you guys last week, and not a whole lot to talk about this week besides the drama that happened yesterday. You can watch my most recent video if you want to update on that. But as far as the markets go, S&P 500 was up almost 2%. Nasdaq was up 2%. Gold pretty flat. Bitcoin was down, and the bond market was down this week. When we look at some individual names, looking pretty good here. Technology continuing to rebound. Semiconductors up around 2% on average. Meta up 9% this week. Amazon 5%. Microsoft all-time high this week, up 2.5%. Tesla down 17% on the week after all the drama that's happening over there. And looks like some utilities and non-durables a little red this week as well. As far as the overall market, S&P 500 2.5% away from its all-time high. So this little green squiggly that we drew a while ago played out almost perfectly. We're going to go ahead and delete this. But really strong looking market here, 2.5% away from the all-time high, 20% away from the recent bottom just a month or so ago on the S&P 500. Nasdaq looking pretty similar, 3% away from its all-time high, and it's up 32.5% from its recent low. So quite the V-shape recovery that we have here. When we look at the Russell 2000, had a really good week this week. This is lagging behind the S&P and the Nasdaq. So Russell 2000 is up 20% from its lows, but still down 16% from its highs of last year. So these are a lot of small cap companies. I'm not too interested in small cap companies. There could be a trade here on the Russell 2000 to maybe get up to 2,300 or so. But as far as small caps for long term, I'm not super interested there. I would rather go look through the index and go pick out some of those names and play those individually. That's just my opinion. Bitcoin here pulling back, really nice bounce from 100,000 after yesterday's drama. Bitcoin sold off as well, but just kind of chopping sideways here. Looking still pretty strong to me. That was a very strong recovery after yesterday's little flush. Gold pulling back a little bit, but still pretty strong overall. Pulling back the last day or so, but looking really strong. I expect gold to hit all-time highs within the next month or so. But we'll have to wait and see. Let's look at volatility. So we probably had a little spike. Looks like nothing here. Yeah, we are at relative lows here on the VIX. Little spike yesterday, nothing too crazy, but giving all that back today. Let's take a look at oil. Oil getting back up into the mid 60s. We're at 63. It's interesting there. And then let's look at bonds. Bonds had a big move today. They were slowly making their way back down, but now we are shooting back up on the yields. 10-year yield is at 4.5%. 30-year yield is almost over 5%. We were over 5% last week. So be interesting to see what happens here. We had some good jobs numbers this week, and again, just making it really hard for the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates when they're seeing uncertainty with tariffs, hot jobs market, and things are not calling for them to, hey, come save the market. We need to bail out the economy and cut rates. So they're going to wait until they see the jobs numbers really start to devolve, and who knows when that'll be. Let's take a look here. Nvidia, really strong performance after its earnings. We're almost near all-time high, about 10% away from the all-time high, maybe a little bit less, 7.5% from all-time high. So very strong move there for Nvidia. Amazon looking nice, looking like it may want to get back up in those 220, 230 range for Amazon. Let's take a look. Tesla, crazy, just crazy flush down. Who knows what's going to happen here? Nobody knows. Things could get resolved over the weekend, or they could just completely get a lot worse. I don't know. The fact that we haven't heard anything today makes me feel like the likelihood of not a makeup, but just a de-escalation of the situation may be coming this weekend. Let's take a look at Apple, just chopping sideways, not really doing anything here. This is a tariff play, so if the Chinese tariffs get resolved in a good way, I think Apple shoots back up to 220 pretty quickly. And if they get worse, I think we're back under $200 really quickly. Google looking strong here as well. Nice recovery here for Google. We'll see. This looks like we get above 175, 178. Google looks ready to roll. Let's see. Any other names I want to talk about here? I don't think so. Nothing too crazy. United Healthcare not doing anything. Just chopping sideways here. Not doing a whole lot. Let's take a look at the calendar for next week. Next week, we've got CPI, we've got PPI, and we've got consumer sentiment. So there's a decent amount of news next week. CPI, PPI, those are going to move the bond market, and depending on how we do in the bond market may dictate how the stock market does. But as far as things I'm doing right now, I haven't been buying any S&P, any Nasdaq. There's been a little bit of names I've been nibbling on a little bit of Amazon. I'm looking at maybe nibbling on Tesla if there's another flash crash. If we have another crazy day, may look to buy some there. Other than that, I'm waiting for a pullback on Nvidia. Who knows when we get that. Apple keeps dropping. I might buy some. I've been nibbling on a little Google and a little bit of Apple. Those are some of the names that really haven't recovered that much. You can see here Google 174, recent high of 205 or so. Apple, recent high of 250. It's at 200. So those are blue chip names that haven't recovered as well. So maybe playing a little bit of catch up. So that's all that I've been doing here, and I'm hoping for a pullback eventually in the market, but it's relentless. There's the buyers are relentless. So it seems to me like a lot of people got off sides here, and they've just been playing catch up the whole way back. Anytime we get a 0.5% dip, 1% dip, it just gets bought up instantly, which is showing the strength in the market, which is good. It's good for holders. It's bad for buyers. So I'm still being patient with the cash that I have. There's no rush to buy anything. I'm going to wait for good opportunities. Something like the S&P 500, maybe 570. Maybe we come down and fill this gap. Maybe we don't. Maybe we shoot through all-time highs and then eventually we get a pullback from a much higher level. Could very well be the case. So that is all I got for you guys in this video. We will have an update for you next week, and get your popcorn. There may be some more drama, may not be. All right, peace out.